This is Life is Meant to be Lived, a podcast about reimagining struggle, finding purpose in the hard moments, and choosing to fully live. Inspired by chronic illness, but made for everyone who's ever faced something hard. Because no matter what you're facing, life is meant to be lived. All right, welcome everybody to Life is Meant to be Lived, the podcast. I'm so excited to be filming this episode. My co-host today is Emma. Me and Emma actually met while I was down living in Florida and doing the horses. Me and Emma both compete. She's an adventurer, I'm a show jumper, and I just love Emma. She is just the biggest ray of sunshine, and so I'm so excited when she agreed to be on my podcast. So, Emma, I'm going to turn the time over to you. Will you kind of tell all of our listeners and viewers and whatever just kind of what you've been experiencing the past little minute and why I kind of invited you on the podcast?
Yes, absolutely. First off, I'm so excited to be here. This is so fun. I've never done one of these, so I was so excited when you texted me. So yes, I'm Emma, and I have been living down in Florida for 4 years, working and riding for an Olympian event trainer. And over the last probably year to 6 months, I've been dealing with some health issues. So a year ago, I had hurt my back from riding and working full-time at the farm by myself over a brutal, hot Florida summer. And I'd gotten diagnosed with piriformis syndrome and was having some pretty significant sciatica pain. And so I spent all of August through Thanksgiving of last year rehabbing that, and had come back during the Christmas area season. And then right after the new year, I'd gotten sick, and now 7 months later, we are still at it. So I had gotten the stomach bug in January and recouped fine. Actually went to a horse show that same weekend, was like, I'm fine, I'm good, we're just gonna go at this. And then later in January, I just kind of woke up one morning and life flipped like that. One morning I was fine, and the next morning I wasn't. And since then, it's been doctors after doctors, appointment after appointment, still no proper diagnosis, but we're trying to reach to that point slowly but surely.
So it's been, 7 months?
Yeah, it's been since January of no diagnosis. I've been pretty much to every doctor. I've been all over the state of Florida. I've been to Jacksonville, Lake City, Gainesville, Ocala, Orlando, Villages, Leesburg, every county, you name it. So it started out with a local doctor here in town, and then that turned into me being a full-time patient at the Mayo Clinic right now in Jacksonville. So blood tests, CT scans, x-rays, ultrasounds, MRIs, biopsies, scopes, you name it. I've kind of gone through it at the moment.
Wow, that's insane. And then for everybody listening too, will you explain what were you diagnosed with last year? Remind me the name of it.
So piriformis syndrome.
Yeah, will you explain what that is?
Yes, so there's a muscle in your basically connected to your glute and hip, and it connects from your lower back to your glute and your hip, and it can cause some really bad nerve pain. And after I was working full-time at the farm by myself, running the show, I was competing 2 horses at the upper levels, which I had a great opportunity to do so. And end of August, it got to the point that it was so bad that I lost feeling in my right leg and my foot, I couldn't walk. And they thought I had done my lower lumbar disc and was going to have back surgery, which thankfully I did not. But that turned into, basically it was the muscle itself was so pulled and out of place that then it was hitting my sciatica, causing crazy nerve pain. So it was lots of chiropractic work, acupuncture. So it was a whole process for probably 4 or 5 months, but it was odd because I never felt like I had bounced back from it. I've had injuries the last couple of years with, doing horses, working on a farm, and been so healthy that I've bounced back. And I noticed it just kind of kept lingering, and then I got sick in January, and I just things weren't going as smooth. Like, I wasn't bouncing back, my energy wasn't as good. I started college in the fall. Like, it happened like my first week of college. So like there was a lot going on, and then I got that stomach bug, and then things just kind of flipped like that. And I woke up super inflamed. I was like 15 pounds heavier. I was having distension, all this abdominal pain, and I like went to the ER thinking I was having like some sort of pancreatitis or some like obstruction. And then that kind of went down the rabbit hole of liver doctors, and then liver doctors turned into like integrative and internal medicine doctors, and then that turned into liver specialists, and then that turned into OBGYN and women's health doctors, and then that turned into endocrinology and rheumatology and immunology and dermatology, all the ologies. I've just gone through all of them. I'm waiting for cardiology next. A couple ER visits in between in the last couple of months, so it's kind of been one thing after another leading to a diagnosis.
Do they have any idea of what it is? Like, do you have a hunch
So
on maybe what you think?
basically, I we were leaning towards something called Cushing's disease, where you have a tumor on one of your like adrenal or pituitary glands. So like either a tumor on your like gland near your kidney or a tumor in your brain that basically like pushes on it and causes all of like, since then I've gained like 50 pounds rapidly. I've lost all energy, super fatigued, muscle pain, bloating, distension, nausea, headaches, dizziness. Like sometimes it's so bad I can't get out of bed or sit up out of a chair. Um, like all the symptoms, like skin, itchiness, rashes, swelling. Like when I went to the ER, like it had happened pretty much like a week before. I'd gone to the ER a couple days later, and I had already gained so much weight and was so swollen that like they had to cut off my rings and my t-shirt. I've had to go shopping for clothes every couple weeks because like I keep just retaining water and fluid and swelling. So I got to see an immunologist at the Mayo who was like brilliant. He did head research and case studies for kids during COVID that had the like COVID during the pandemic, and did a lot of stuff with like cures and the shots and the vaccines. So like has a much better perspective on like immune type responses,
Hmm.
especially in younger people. And he basically thinks that like based on testing and how some of my levels of testing, like I've always had slightly level like elevated liver enzymes and red blood cell count, and a couple things for the last like 2 or 3 years in my lipid panels that have been like, okay, why is this really happening, other than I'm just so overly active and I'm an athlete and the stress and all of that.
Right.
And he's kind of thinking what I have called is like a post-infectious like rheumatic dysregulation like immune disorder, which is a lot of words. It sounds like a lot, but basically like when someone gets long COVID and you don't have COVID anymore, but you still have all the symptoms. He thinks basically that like my immune system has been breaking down for many years, and I've been in such a state of like fight or flight mode that then my body has slowly been breaking down. And then when I got that stomach bug, it was like what lit everything on fire. So then like all of my antibodies have been dysregulated, like, and he explained it as like the right side of your brain when you're in that state can't compute the difference between like emotional and physical stress and like an infection. So then
Right.
when you have an infection going on and you're already overly exerted, have emotional stress, and those all come together, then it basically starts like your body's fighting against each other. It sends it into fight or flight mode. That's why my cortisol has been skyrocketing high. That's why I've rapidly gained all this weight. And then, like, basically, your brain's telling you one thing and your body's telling you a different thing, and they're just like butting heads. And
Hmm.
with that, then all of the immune responses. So it's basically like my immune system has been slowly breaking down.
Hmm.
And with that, he started me on like a 6 week regimen of a couple different meds and supplements to be on like 10,000 units worth of things, like a very high dose of lots of things to try to start regulating my immune system. And he's thinking that if this protocol starts to help, then it's more telltale of what it is, because like every specialist I've seen, it just they it I'm checking things off the list, which I'm so grateful for, but at the same time it's like you're also getting nowhere. So it's like you leave an appointment being like, okay, this looks good, but I still don't have an answer. So
That's
it's
really
very and it's so hard. And like I've been told more times that I'm either normal or I need to go see a psychiatrist or a therapist because it's all in my head than I've been told this is what I actually have going on. Which when you're young and these are like your prime years of, I'm almost in my 20s, and like this is where things kind of start to happen, and like being told that you're just normal or it's in your head when like you haven't been able to function properly since January, let alone having an injury before that, like it's hard. It's very discouraging. Like it makes it hard to want to keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, no,
So,
it definitely does. I've been told that I needed to go see a psychiatrist a couple times for different things. The most recent one being a couple years ago. For as long as I can remember, I've gotten these like crazy like stomach attacks. Like all of a sudden I am just like in crazy amounts of pain. Anyway, I got my gallbladder taken out. Found out they were gall attacks, right? Like I had a ton of stones, mucus, and like my gallbladder was just crazy inflamed. Well, I didn't realize this, but a lot of the stones from your gallbladder originate in your biliary tree and like your biliary tract. And so taking
yes.
your gallbladder out, you can still get like gallstones, but they're technically like biliary tract stones. Um, Anyway, I had been to a couple of actually like my CF doctors, and I would like explain these pains and like what happens and how like all of a sudden I will be in like debilitating pain, and I'll be that way for anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour and a half, and then it just goes away and it's just gone. And I like can't find anything specific that sets it off. I can't all this stuff. And after like one or two tests, they were like, yeah, I think you just need to go see a psychiatrist, I think. And like my doctor literally looked at me and goes, "It's just in your head. Like you need to go see a
I and
psychiatrist."
I've been told that more than I haven't, and
It's
it's like
crazy.
it's so frustrating because it's like, these are world-renowned doctors at such a well-known institute, and them looking at you, and it's hard because they look at me and they think I'm normal, and I'm like, and then it's like you have to explain your story and how you were. It's like, no, this isn't normal. Like, I'm a nutritional sciences major. Like, I want to go into medicine. I am so health conscious as it already is, and I know my body so well. Then, when you're being told that, and it's like, no, you don't just randomly gain 50 pounds overnight. You don't go from being fine to not being able to move the next day. Like, you know, we're horse people. I've worked with casts on. I've been at the barn with boots on. Competed sick, and it's like if I can't do what I moved down here to do, like something's clearly wrong. Like, and if I can't get out of bed for months, like this isn't just in my head.
Does that ever affect your self-worth or your self-image? Because I've looked at myself when I've been told that before and been like, "Am I crazy? Like, are they right? Like, is this in my head? Is this not real?"
It's funny you bring that up because like, we all have our own insecurities, and like I've worked so hard to be the person I am today, and like I've struggled with my own self-confidence, and like part of me like wanting to be passionate about like my body and my nutrition and my health has just been because like it's helped me mentally and physically so much. And when you go from being fit and healthy and active and finally gaining that confidence to like I have to buy clothes every 2 weeks, and you look at yourself in your I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, I don't even recognize myself anymore. Like, it's so hard then when you feel that way already, and then you're having these doctors tell you, oh, it's in your head, and then it's just like, oh my gosh, it's like my own self-worth and disgust in myself right now on top of doctors who are telling me, oh, like, boo-hoo, get over it, you're normal. And that's been so hard because it's like it's so frustrating, and you want to get better but you don't kind of know where that timeline is. And then on top of that, like, you see your body changing every day, and the body that I live in right now is so different than what it was a year ago. And like I'm so much more comfortable when I'm in control, and I've been so out of control of what my body has been doing in the last 7 months to a year that it's like trying to accept that can be very challenging.
Is there anything you've done that's kind of helped you through those self-worth, dilemmas, or just like even just keeping a good spirit? You talked about earlier how it gets so hard to just put one foot in front of the other, and I've been there, like
Yeah,
not
no.
necessarily to your extent, or even I won't even pretend that it's been in the same way, but like it's similar, right? Like I understand the whole like it's so difficult to just put one foot in front of the other. So like what do you do, right? Like what do you
Yeah,
do?
no. I mean, first off, it's changed my mindset on so many things. Like, it's really made me realize, like, you can't take a single day for granted. Like, you never know when something's going to change. Like, one day you could be normal, and one day the next something can happen, and your whole life flips upside down.
Right.
And so I think if there's one thing it has taught me, like, to it's taught me to have more patience. It's taught me to be more grateful of the little moments in life. And like, there was a memory that came up on my phone the other day about like me competing at a big event with like one of my horses 2 years ago, and I thought of it as, it's like you have to cherish every ordinary day, because like one you'll look back and realize like those days were extraordinary. Like, those days were so special, and you can't take that for granted. But I think, I've been surrounding myself with, I don't have family down here. I have my barn family and my friends, but like surrounding myself with, my friends and family and the people I love, and just trying to find the joy in every day, going and seeing my horses, being outside, even on the days where I feel like I can go for a walk, go explore a different park or go just be out in the nature. And I've really gotten into reading too. Like, I've read some great books that have been uplifting and just puts a smile on my face. I don't have to think about it. And some also very encouraging books about self worth and self confidence and going through hard times. And, I also love to listen to music. So just try to find things every day that kind of help get your mind off everything that's going on and just put you in a better spirit and a better mood, even if it's for a little bit of time.
Your favorite books, especially pick like a couple fun ones, and then also like what's a self-worth book you'd recommend to people listening? Like what's one that's really helped kind of
Well,
change your mind?
some of my fun ones, and this is gonna be bad to say, but like, I have like hockey and cowboy like romance, just fun young adult books that I don't have to think about. They're like shout out to Off Campus if anyone has seen the Off Campus show, but I've read the series like that, like things that like I don't know. They're fun, they're silly, like. And then I will say there's a book called A Gentle Reminder. I actually have it on my shelf over there, and I like will get up in the morning and read a page or two, and I do it right when I get up in the morning. I start my morning doing it, and I end my night doing it. And like, I kind of will highlight things and bookmark things, and it's not that big, but it's kind of a great reminder of just how to look at life, your perspective on things, going through hard times, going through, you know, things that aren't going your way. And it's just kind of a great way to start and end the day, because it just puts things into perspective. I think she's the same author as like The Mountain Is You. I know that's another good book I've read, that's kind of like a self-worth confidence book as well. So just kind of try to mix in like some of the more those type books with some of the more fun light books to keep it, lighthearted and not too deep.
Yeah. How have you handled school with all of this? Like
Oh,
what
school's
how do you
been
do that?
so the fall was rough because I went from when I was living in Ohio, I was at a very small, like, private school from kindergarten through eighth grade, and we had like 30 kids in our grade. So it was like I knew the same 30 kids for all of my childhood growing up. And then I changed. I went to a different high school, so it was like meeting all new people. I was there for 6 months, and then I moved down here at 13, turning 14 by myself, and started online school. So then I did my own homeschooling and online school for with a program that was like meant for traveling equestrians all through high school, and then like I started in-person college. So like I haven't been in a proper classroom setting since like COVID, which was 6th grade, 7th grade. So starting college in a brand new place, not knowing anyone, on top of then having a back injury and dealing with that, and then having my second semester be my health. It's been hard. It has definitely not been the first easiest. It's not been the easiest route for the first year of college. I will say that. I did plan on taking summer classes too, so that I could kind of keep the ball rolling, and I had to decide to drop out of those because the spring semester was really hard. It's kind of when I really, like, January was okay, but then February through April was when things kind of hit me hard really quick, and I was having some more of the like scopes and the biopsies and procedures done, and a lot of like the appointments that were back to back to back because that's kind of when it all started. And it was hard because I had some professors who were lovely and treated me great and were super flexible and understanding. And then I had some professors who were absolute jerks and told me it was my fault and wanted to fail me. So it was a lot to navigate going through the beginnings of this kind of unknown illness.
Yeah, that's really hard. I've been really lucky through my college experience so far, and I have only had wonderful professors. And I can usually tell within the first 3 days and drop the class.
It was hard because it was like I was lucky enough that I got to kind of know my second semester professors for like a couple of weeks, and actually one I had the last semester, so like she was great, but then I just had like, and of course I decided to take 6 classes, mostly all honors, and then I was working like 60 hours a week at the farm, riding 2 horses, competing, and then trying to live life. And I think a lot of that has to probably do with also flaring this up so bad, is because I was in a state of such just like go
Exhaustion.
go 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 and exhaustion. And I think that's also something that's I've gotten out of this so much, is like, you know as much as you think you can do, you have to slow down sometimes. And like, you can't always do everything. And I think that's so hard to realize because I've always been someone who goes and goes and goes and goes and never stops, and is a people pleaser and wants to, help everyone do everything. And this has really made me be like, I have to find time to take care of myself. Like, I'm not good at putting people before, like, I don't put myself first in situations. And this has been very eye opening to be like, I need to start putting myself first. Like, I need to start prioritizing my health and my body like I do other people and my horses and things like that, because it really puts things into perspective when you think of it that way.
Yeah, and I feel like we can probably think a little bit on the same lines here, but it's also hard to learn that like I'm gonna put myself first and that's okay, right? Like that's something that's really hard. I recently had the opportunity to go to the Emerging Athletes program in California
Oh,
for show jumping
cool.
and go ride with some really amazing people and some really amazing clinicians, but it was hot. And for anybody that's not familiar with that program, it's all around. It's not just the riding portion, it's how you clean your stall, how you care for your horse, the stable management, everything like that. And so, I mean, we started our days at 6 a.m. and the training ended at 5 p.m. and you did, you know, 2 hours of stable management, 2 hours of riding, 2 hours of jump setting, and then you'd usually have like another big seminar at night and you get like a half an hour lunch break. And I was so excited and also terrified for the opportunity because I'm looking at it going, I faint all the time. Like I literally got my acceptance letter and was so excited, and then the excitement lasted for maybe like 5 minutes, and then I just cried. Like I was like, I'm not gonna be able to do this. Why did I
Yeah.
even apply? Like I can't do this, but it's such a cool opportunity. Like, and so I mean, we did a lot of behind the scenes work. We brought a motor home, and so I had kind of a place on site, and some things like that. But I had to really pick and choose like what I did and what I didn't, right? Because I'm usually like, if someone needs a jump put back up, I want to be the first one out there. If a horse poops, I want to be the one scooping it. If, so and so needs to go run and get this, I will go run and get it. And but throughout this whole clinic, I really had to be like, I'm gonna let someone else do that. I'm not gonna do that. And it felt wrong. Like all week. I was legitimately like, I'm the laziest human on the planet
And
because
that's how I
I'm not the
felt
one
the
standing in the sun scooping up the horse poop. Like it felt wrong. And so that's a hard one
And
to
that's
to
how I
get
felt the
over.
last 7 months because it's like, for me mentally right now, the best thing is to go to the barn and to see my horses and to groom and to bathe and to graze. But I've always been the one at the barn managing things and running the ship and working full time and doing the extras. So it's like the level of guilt you feel when you're trying to do something for yourself mentally that makes you feel better, but then also at the same time you're like, I should be doing something. I shouldn't be here just grazing my horse, or I shouldn't feel bad because I'm so hot and I'm so fatigued that I need to get out of the heat. Like, and it's a hard lesson to learn, but
Do you have any tips for that? Because I'm 100% asking for myself as well, because that one's just hard, right?
no, I mean, I think I'm still learning. I still think I'm navigating it. I'm grateful as much as this has all sucked. I'm also grateful because I think it's taught me so many life lessons that I wouldn't have learned if it wasn't for this. And that's been a big part of it. And I think it's really put it into perspective of like part of me not being able to say no, part of me not being able to take care of myself and be okay with putting myself first has led me to where I am right now in my illness. And like thinking about that kind of is like, oh wow, like, yeah, I need to work on not feeling so guilty. I need to start finding ways to have more self care, to not feel bad for sitting down for an hour. Like, because, I do a lot of resting right now. I have to. And like, I do a lot more sitting. I've gotten, I'm in the house more than I've ever been in the house the last 4 years. And it's like learning to just roll with those punches, but also not let other people like put you down because you have a health issue, which is also so hard. And it's something that I think you have to navigate the rest of your life. Like, I don't think it's something that, at least for someone like me, like, I think it's going to take years, but I'm also glad that I'm learning this life lesson now instead of doing this to myself year after year.
Speaking of people, I want to ask you now a two-part question. Number one, how have people treated you since this has all happened, right? Because I mean, I was born with mine, right? So I actually feel really blessed that I haven't gone through what you have gone through in the sense of like, I was fine and then I wasn't. I was always messed up. Not actually, but you know what I'm saying? Like, for lack of
No,
better terms,
no.
like, I came out of the womb like this. I've always known it's always just been what I deal with.
Yeah.
And so, my whole life I've gotten varied responses. I've from like, we need to treat you so fragilely, sit down, you can't do anything, we'll do everything for you, like a little glass vase on a shelf, to I've also gotten the, you don't look sick, so you're fine argument. But I've also gotten the like, people don't even think about it, right? Like,
Yeah.
I've been in
Yeah.
areas where and not, I'm not trying to say that it's anybody else's responsibility to take care of my health, but like my family or my close friends, like they think about it, right? Whereas like other people, I've been like ditched on hikes before because I'm like doing my best to keep up, and like they just keep trugging along, and I'm like, I'm trying. So it's like, number one, how have people treated you since, and how has it been different than before? And then number two, how do you wish people would treat you? Like, what's like your ideal? Because I think that's a good thing to touch on, especially for people listening, is I get that a lot. Like, well, how do you want people to treat you? What do you want people to do? And so what do you think?
Those are good questions. Loaded
Yeah,
questions, but good questions.
thank you.
I think as far as it goes with family and like close friends, like that's been great. Like, I'm so lucky to have such a good support system, and I've had so many people that I've kind of also gotten closer to with this that have um that's been eye-opening. Like, I've gotten closer to friends because of this. I mean, my family's amazing. I've met people. There's been a ton of people that have been sending me cards and praying for me and all these lovely things that, is really uplifting in this time of unknown and hardship and challenge in life. But, then it's also hard because I think in this day and age, like, looks and your perspective of people on the outside is so strong than who they are on the inside. And, I went from, like, being fit and lean and having muscles and looking like an athlete to, like, not now. And, I look 9 months pregnant some days because I'm so distended. And, like, my face is swollen and, like, I'm just heavier, and there's nothing against that. That's just part of what my illness is and part of the unknown. And, like, yes, it will eventually reverse itself and I'll work towards being back where I want to be, but that's not where I'm at right now. And, I did kind of notice during school, like, I've just been very uncomfortable in my body. And, like, in the beginning of this, I didn't want to leave the house because I was worried of what people were going to say. And I was worried about, like, well, like, I'm not comfortable. I'm in clothes that don't fit me. Like, I'm so I don't feel good in my own skin. Like, what are people going to say if I leave the house? And, like, I have had comments about, my weight and how I look now and stuff. And, like, that's hard because, like, you don't know what's going on with somebody. Like, you can't just assume. And on the reverse side of that, I had people get at me before when I was healthy because they would say, oh, you don't eat, or oh, you're too fit, or oh, you won't eat a donut, so you have an eating disorder. And, like, just because I ate healthfully and, like, I prioritized my health, I got penalized for that. Like, I would have people come up to me and, like, grab my waist and, like, accuse me of not eating breakfast. And, like, just because I was the most fit, active person in the surrounding circle, then it was like they put the blame on me because of it. Because, like, I would bring donuts, to the farm or the horse show, and then it would be like, well, you won't eat a donut, so, like, you have an issue. Or, like, you need to go eat a cheeseburger. And it's like, just because I don't want those things doesn't mean that, I'm not eating or I'm not healthy. It's just I prioritize my body and my health differently, which is fine. Everyone does their own thing. So now it's kind of been, like, the opposite of, like, now I've put on all this weight, and it's, like, the adverse of, like, oh, you look like you've put a lot of weight on in your hips, or you look like this, or you look like that. I've been lucky enough that the one place I feel like I'm most comfortable is, like, at the farm. Like, they know that I don't feel well. They know that I'm not my kind of normal self, but, like, I don't get penalized for that. Like, there are days, because I've had to buy clothes, and, like, I don't have as many clothes, so, like, I do laundry a lot more. And, like, there are days where, like, I'll show up in one of my dad's t-shirts that's down here because it's bigger, and, like, just, like, the most uncoordinated, baggy Adam Sandler looking outfit out there. And, like, but they don't care. Like, they're just glad to see me. And, like, so I have to hang on to, like, those moments when I feel like people are judging me for, how I look and what's going on when they don't actually know what's going on. And I think, like you were saying, then there's the people who also think I'm normal. And it's, like, that thought of, like, I don't have to prove to them that I'm sick, but it also kind of sucks when, like, people don't take the time and day to just ask you, or not just assume that you're normal or you're not sick. Because, I've had to push in the beginning of all this. I think, it was depressing. It was hard. Like, it hit so hard. And, I had to sell my upper level competition horse because of this. Like, I had to drop out of classes because of this. Like, I've had to let go of a lot of opportunities and a lot of just life in the last 7 months. And it took a lot for me to start pushing myself to do things. And then when you start to push yourself to do things, then I think people think you're normal because you're not laying in bed all day. And then it's like, no, I'm not actually normal. Like, yes, I'm in a ton of pain. Yes, I don't feel well. Yes, I'm going through 10 other symptoms that you can't even tell. But, like, I have to do something. Like, I have to go on a walk. I need to go run errands. I need to, go to a horse show and watch people. I need to go to the barn. I need to do this because, like, that's what keeps you going mentally. That's what keeps you putting one foot in front of the other. So it's then hard when you have the other perspective of, like, people think you're normal because you're doing normal people things.
Yeah. I like what you said about assuming. I feel like a lot, and it's a double-edged sword, right? Because I feel like a lot of what happens or ways that I'm treated that I don't like or, things like that come from assuming. But I don't know how you are, but personally, I also have done, and I'm trying to be better, right? But historically, I don't tell the truth. People will ask.
And some days you want to talk about it, some days you don't want to talk about it because it can be so over consuming. And like my line to people is like, I'm good or I'm fine. Like my mom will joke, she'll be like, you gotta say something, then you're fine. Like you keep saying you're fine. I'm like, yeah, because it's easier. Like it's easier to say I'm fine than to be like, no, actually I'm having a really bad day, or
Yeah,
no, I'm actually doing okay, but like this is also what's happening today. Like
right.
sometimes it's just easier to like be joyful and say you're fine and put on that front because it's just easier to get by.
What do you think the best thing for people to do then is? Because I, it's funny because I totally get what we're saying, right? Like as someone on the other side, I get what we're saying. But for other people, I feel like they could listen to this and be like, okay, so we don't ask how you are and we assume how you are and you don't like that, but then we ask how we are and sometimes you don't like that either. So like what do you think in your opinion is the best way for people to, go about things or interact with you or right that's not necessarily because I have my answer, but I'm curious about yours.
Part of me just thinks like you treat the person like they're the same person before their illness, and that's where I feel like when I'm at the barn, that's where like that's what I gravitate to the most right now because it's like I think you treat the person how they were before they were sick. You treat them even if they might look different or they're acting different. And like, yes, like tell them once in a while you're there for them or you have, their support or, you're in their prayers or you're thinking of them. But like, it doesn't have to be all consuming. It doesn't have to be always in your face. Like, and it's not to say like that's nice once in a while, but like, I think the biggest thing is like, all you have to do is just like I think for me it's like just act like I'm not sick. Act like I don't look different. Like just have a conversation to me like I was the Emma I was a year ago, 7 months ago. Like and yes, it's not because like I know you care. I know you're worried. I know you want to get an update. You want to know what's going on, but at the same time it's just like I can't change it right now. This is who I am right now. I have to live in this life right now. So why dwell on it? Why always have it be consuming when we can just keep going on with our life and just continuing to live every day because that's all you can do.
I 100% agree with you. That is exactly what I was going to say. And I'm a little different again because I don't have a before I was sick, right? Like
Mhm.
I came out like this,
Yeah.
but I agree so many people will be like, even like people that my parents, like maybe they like know my family, they'll be like, oh, this is your daughter with CF. But then like to my siblings, it'll be, oh, this is your son that plays lacrosse. Or, oh, this is your daughter that
Mhm.
swims. But then for me, it's the, oh, this is your daughter that's sick. And I start to get so sick of that, right? It's like people ask, oh, well, what do you do? I'm like, just get to know me as a person. Don't get to know my illness, get to know me as a person. And that's, those are very, very, very different. And so I totally agree with you.
I think something to be said like I was saying like nowadays it's so much of like what's on the outside versus what's on the inside and it's like let's not always focus on what's on the outside because you never know what someone's going through. How about you get to know me for who I am before we just assume these polar opposites of what's going on based on how somebody looks.
Amen. I could not agree more with you on that. I love that. And that is one, like, dare I say, like, blessing of having chronic illness or going through a health flare up is like, I, and I'm not perfect at this. I'm not going to act like I'm perfect at this, but I feel like oftentimes it's much easier to look at people and not people as what they are or are not doing. Because, right, like I've been in situations where I'm doing like literally nothing with my life and it's not due to my own control or choice, right? And
Correct.
so it's definitely a lot easier. Well, I think that's really profound. I'm glad we were able to talk about that. Well, that's such a fantastic note. I think I'd like to kind of end on that, but I do want you to tell everybody what you were able to do for the first time in a really long time today because I'm excited for you, and so I think they all need to hear it too.
I was able to get on my horse for the first time since about February today, which was so exciting. It's just, you never know, and you always got to keep pushing to the next day because you never know when you can feel well enough to do something that makes you happy like that. So, yes, I was able to go on a little walk and just get in the saddle again for. Did I feel great? No. Do I feel great now? No. But I was well enough to do it then, and you got to keep pushing for those moments because every little win leads to a bigger one.
Sure, that ride was so fun. Like
It was.
you
It was great.
can't explain it to
It
somebody
was
that
great.
like
I was
yeah.
in my muck boots and my trainer's half chaps because my boots don't zip up, and I was in a ratty t-shirt, and I was in a handy down pair of pants, but you know what? I embraced it and we got on, and none of that mattered because I got to go for a walk, go for a ride, just be in the saddle. And, that's what for us we push for in these moments of, struggle and hardship for sure.
Yeah. No, like it's cliche and I say it all the time. It's what my podcast is called, but like life's meant to be lived, right? Like
No?
you hit a point where it's like I'm not gonna live like this anymore. And then it's like the little wins that are just the coolest thing. Like after I kind of had my horse accident, yeah, and I got back in the saddle for the first time in like 6 months or something. Oh my gosh, I did like nothing on that ride. I got nothing accomplished. We walked maybe 3 laps around the arena before I was like, I'm done. I can't anymore. And it was the best feeling in the world. Like I was like,
I literally just
I'm
walked
doing
for like
it.
15 minutes today. Like
Yeah,
I went on a little hack. I went out into our big field, in the Florida sunshine. I was like, I'm just gonna walk for as long as I can take it, and I'll get off. And if I don't get, I'll start implementing it into my routine when I can. And it teaches you to appreciate every little win because every little win makes an even bigger one, and it helps you put one foot in front of the other. It really does.
100%. Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on my podcast today and
Oh,
taking
this
some
was so
time out of your
fun.
night. And I'm glad to have you, and I'm glad that we were able to learn from you and relate with you
Absolutely.
and all the things.
Yes.
So anyway, well, life is meant to be lived. Thanks again, Emma.
Yes. Thank you.